Now, the class way of doing it is with the skybox, the tank and the scene, with the deformed environment, just because that covers everything that we need to cover in the basic class. But I thought I'd add this type of display because it's become popular over the last couple years. A little diorama or a little model scene. And it's basically taking exactly what was in your original environment, the one with the skybox and the deformed ground plane and the tank object in it, taking all the elements, the exact same lighting, and just converting it into a way that we can then put a little base on it and show it off like it's a little plastic model. There's some advantages to this. The advantage is it really is an easy way to show off the model, because we don't have to worry about things like far off horizon lines, the background, the lighting of the whole environment, which can be time consuming. And we can show off how well we can decorate a scene, place the tank in an environment, make it look realistic, but it's just a very limited small little space. Now the drawback is we're not showing any of those other things, so if you're trying to show someone that you can do really good environments, I'm not sure this is the best way to show off your model. But it does show off the model if you're just trying to show off your little tank object. In this case, what I've done is I've taken that original scene, the one that had the background and the mountains, and this in fact is still almost the same camera view from the original scene, and I've booleaned out the ground object around the tank. So I didn't make this ground object separate. I took the original scene, I created a cylinder, just drilled it right through the ground around the tank, and I booleaned out the ground. That got rid of the entire ground object. Make sure you use a cylinder with a whole bunch of sides so that it looks smooth around the edges. And then I just deleted the skybox. And this is exactly that same scene, except that I've added the base, and I've added this white ground plane. It looks like that's a background, but it's actually just a ground plane. So the base had something to sit on. And I've added the grass here, was added to the ground as a scatter object. We covered that in the class. These small little plants could be added as a scattered object, but I actually just placed these by hand and rotated them around. It was easy enough. This tree I'd already built, and I put that in there just to show some scale. And the leaves on this are just transparent planes, so it made it easier to render. And then I just positioned some of the tank objects so it had a little bit more action to it. The lighting is exactly the same lighting as was in my scene, except I converted the spotlight to a directional light, so I didn't have to worry about the shadows radiating out in different angles, which wasn't as big a deal in the original scene. And that was pretty much it. And then I rendered it. I set the rendering to show off a little bit more reflection, and I've got a little bit more bounce light, which I set in my advanced lighting properties. I think the bounce light setting was set to 2 for this, just so the colors would blend a little bit better. And the ground plane base, this wooden base, is nothing more than a lathe, although it could be a cylinder that was beveled out as well. But I lathed it, and I put the generic oak shader that comes with Max. It's in the main material library for Max. I applied that with just a planar map so that it looked like it was made out of oak. And that was pretty much it. So, like I said, it's a good way to show off your object. One thing I did forget is when you boolean out the ground, this border around the base is going to be uneven. Because remember, the ground had a deformation map or was paint deformed. So this is going to look like it's aluminum foil and kind of wrinkly around the edges. What I did was I grabbed the edge vertices, put soft selection on to a very low amount to grab some vertices around it, and then just scaled them down on the up and down axis so that they were flat. And then I left some of the bumpiness of the ground plane in here because I think it'll look nice, but it's actually flat right around the edge, so that it'll fit perfect to this flat cylinder object that I made. But I do think they show off the models nice. Some people really like these, some people don't. I included it in here because they have become kind of a fad, and a lot of people have seen them on websites. I like them because they're easy to make. And by the time I'm done with the scene, I want something easy to show off the model because I want to move on to the next model. So there they are. If you'd like to make one, show it to me. I'd like to see them. Concentrate on the main scene first before you make this, but it's a nice addition to the main scene if you want to give it a try. They don't take very long.